Okay, so you are working on Tek 6.8, and 6.8 has a lot to do with triangles. It has to do with the information for a parallelogram. It has to do with congruency. So we're going to talk some vocabulary words first. Okay, so things you need to remember. So acute, oopsie, acute triangles mean all angles are less than 90 degrees. Woo. Right triangles has one 90-degree angle, and then obtuse triangles has one angle greater than 90 degrees. One thing to remember, if you see a little box there on a triangle, that's a good indicator that the triangle is a right angle. Now, it might not be as big as mine, but it's just because I'm using the iPad to write. Other vocabulary information that you need to know when we look at these triangles and these problems. I'm going to move that up just a tad. Scaling. So, scaling triangles, scaling are no sides the same. I'm really horrible at spelling right now. Sorry, my screen went away. Isosceles is two sides the same. And the same is also the word congruent. So, and I'll draw a picture here in a second. And then equilateral. Woo, my handwriting is all three sides are the same. Woo, my handwriting. So sorry, guys. All right, so what that looks like is that this is just a triangle, and it's really not going to be perfect. And don't say, oh, it looks like this. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to draw a triangle. If you're just given a picture of a triangle, not my funky little triangle. Actually, let me just erase that because that's just a funky triangle. If you're given a triangle, you're not going to have any hashes in it. If you're given a triangle, then that means it's scaling. If you're given it and two of the sides are the same, that's isosceles. And if you're given a triangle and you have three congruency marks, that means it's equilateral. So keep that in mind. The other really important information that you need to remember whenever we're going over this stuff, and I just need to move this out of the way, and I hope you didn't need any or too much more. I'll leave it there. You need to remember that, sorry, I'm just going to move it back and then try to just zoom out together. This is really difficult. Forget it. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, we need to find out sometimes which angle degrees makes a triangle or when it doesn't. So if you're given the sides of a triangle or degrees of a triangle, you need to know some information. So triangles, these triangles equal 180 degrees. So the three angles, angle 1, 2, and 3, have to be adding up to 180. But you also have to follow the rule that side 1, so sometimes you're given just the angle sides, and that's 180. But sometimes you're given the sides in lengths in side 1 plus side 2, which are the smallest sides, have to be greater than, so whenever you add it up, has to be greater than the largest side. Oh my God, my handwriting is crazy. So side 1 and side 2, the two smallest sides have to be greater than, but you have to add it first. It has to be greater than the largest side. So if I have 3 plus 2, it would have to be greater than whatever that sum is in order to make a triangle. So I'm going to pretend that my third side is 6. And so if I finish this out, 3 plus 2 is 5. And then I would write is greater than 6. And then I check, is that true? Is 5 greater than 6? And the answer is no. And if the answer is no, that means it does not make a triangle. So you need to remember that. Let's see. You also need to do opposite sides, opposite angles. And what that means is you're just determining the largest side based on the angle or the largest angle based on the side. So I'm going to move this out of my way just a little bit, go away. And I'm going to draw a triangle. Actually one that's similar to the one that's in your picture. And I'm going to put fake numbers in here. You have equations and you're going to have to figure them out based on the equation. You're going to have to do and undo on yours. And remember, it's what's happening to your variable. The first thing that's happening, you're going to follow order of operations. And then you're going to undo going bottom up. Okay, but in my example, I'm going to give you just side length. So this is going to be, I don't know, 70. Actually, I'm going to make it a bigger number. And it's going to be 100. And this is going to be, I don't know, 55. And then let's see, that's 155. So this is 5, that's 60, 70, 80. So I'm going to pretend like this is 25. And that's 180 when we add them up in the total. Okay, so the largest angle, this angle right here, is opposite the largest side length. So I'm going to pretend like these side lengths are called A, B, C. Okay, so this largest angle is opposite the largest side length. And I'm going to say this side length right here that I just did has a first name and a last name of AB. So AB is the largest side. Then I would look for the next largest, and in this case it's 55, the next largest angle, and it is directly opposite the the second largest, side. So 55 is the second largest number. That means this side length right here is the second largest. And it always has to have a first name and a last name. And so my first name and last name is going to be CB, and it's the side length, so I'm going to put the line above. And then I have to indicate which is the last side, since there's only 3 sides to the triangle, that's within the height, or the lengths, excuse me. So I'm going to use that smallest angle is 25, and it's opposite the smallest side. And this smallest side is right here, and the name of the smallest side is AC. It has to have a first name and a last name, so you're just going to use the names that are given to you here. So if it's asking you to get that information, make sure that you provide it. Remember, because you do have a do and undo, and I'll do an example with you, that if you're given something like x, plus, oh my god, that's horrible. Okay, x plus 4, my do is what's happening to x is plus 4. And to undo it, I have to do the opposite, which is minus 4. So I have to do the opposite of minus 4 in order to find out the information. So you guys are going to have to figure out, based on what's there, this is just kind of to set it up, and what you would do is the opposite to both sides. So if, whenever you're going through, let's just pretend it's 5 over here, then you would undo to this side to get rid of it, and then you would finish out the math process here. X drops down, equal sign drops down, and then 5 minus 4 is 1. This is just a sample, guys. You're just going to have to use your reasoning skills to figure it out. You need to remember what we learned when we did a foldable with rectangles, and what shapes can we make to make a triangle, congruent triangles. Remember, congruent means all sides are the same. So if there's any sides that are different, use those hashes that we talked about. If a shape has that this one and this one are the same, but this one and this one are the same, pay attention to that. So how would it look if we were to cut it in half to make a triangle? Would the sides be the same? Use that reasoning skills. Remember, which is really important, one of the problems that we went through and we referenced to elementary, in our math chart this year, we have volume is equal to the area of the base times height. Remember, this big B means something else, not just base. Area of the base. But we can break it down to what we knew in elementary. In volume, formula we learned in elementary was length times width times height. And we learned this year that we call length and width base and height. But we don't want to use the same names, which is why we go back to elementary and say the area of the base, which we learned already previously, is length times width. And then we're going to take it times height to find the volume. If you break it down this way, you will do just fine. Remember, if something's cut in half, you need to divide by 2. So half equals divide by 2. The word cubic means that's, I'm so sorry for that horrible handwriting. It's a number to the third power, which means it's most likely finding volume, or that there's 3 factors within the problem. So be mindful of that. If it says squared, that means the number is to the second power. That means there's 2 factor sets, which would be like base, the little b, times height, or length times width, which are interchangeably used. So look for a square. If it says something squared, you're looking for area. If it says something cubic, you're looking for volume. So those are just vocabulary terms that you need to remember. And remember your shapes. Remember those, and the only one that I'm going to draw for you is a trapezoid. Remember, trapezoids are kind of those little funky shapes, and here's one trapezoid. And I actually want to put little dashes here, so I'm going to fix it to meet my information. If you're not sure if a picture is a trapezoid or a parallelogram, remember you can extend your picture, and if it makes kind of a teepee, it's going to be a trapezoid. So if I extend my sides to see if they stay parallel, and don't mind my funky drawing because I would do it like that in real life anyways, not just on video life. If it makes like this little teepee shape, that means it's a trapezoid. So that's just a little hint for you to remember that it would be a trapezoid. It's because they're going to go cross sides. If they don't ever going to cross, that means it's probably a parallelogram. In that case, then it wouldn't be a trapezoid. So pay attention. Remember that these trapezoids, I'm going to redraw this trapezoid. It's just so I can do some labeling. It's not going to be perfect. But trapezoids, the dotted line is typically the height. It has 2 bases. The bases are the parallel sides. So I'm just going to call this one base 1 and base 2. And then you would be able to plug in information from the formula chart. Again, give these a shot. Make sure you've asked your table mates. Make sure you've labeled on your paper. Don't set yourself up for failure. You know how to do all of these things. If you still don't get it, put your red card up, raise your hand, whatever your teacher has in place for you for today, and get some assistance. But don't wait. Move on to the next question while you wait. Good luck.